All right, man, we're here. We made it. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and I'm super excited about this. I'm really excited to kind of get your cause out to some more people here, get them knowing about you and your story and how this all started with Tanzania Water Fund. We've got 75,000 pull-ups for clean water. This is a good friend of mine, Justin Futrell. He's cousins with my best friend. First met, I think, in 2015 when I went on a family vacation with Alex, and then got to know you a little bit. And since then, you've went on to accomplish a lot and have a lot to be proud of. So we're going to talk today a little bit about Tanzania Water Fund. Well, first off, congrats on the Ironman completion.
Hey, thank you.
How many times have you done an Ironman now?
So first, there's a lot of really serious Ironman out there. So I have to say it's a half Ironman. I'm not a full yet, but maybe one day.
Well, when I saw you last time at the wedding, I woke up and you like walk in the door and you're like, oh, I only ran 9 miles today. And I was thinking in my head, like, man, I played soccer my whole life and I run regularly. And I don't think I've ever at one point ran 9 miles at one time. So,
Justin, you know what's crazy? I played football, basketball, baseball, all of these really anaerobic sports, right?
Mhm.
Not the long distance cardio. And if anything was conditioning more than 2 miles, I would just be devastated. I'd be like, "Are you kidding me? There's no way. Like I can't
Not
run
about
3 miles, coach. I'm a football player."
Right.
But once you start training, it's just a good reminder that once you start practicing for something consistently, I realized once I said, "Oh yeah, I just ran 6 miles today. I only had to run 9 miles today." And 2 years ago, that'd be absolutely nuts to say. I would have never said that.
Right. No, I know. So, and now that's a pretty casual 9 miles, right? Not to mention the swimming and the biking that you train for. So that's awesome, man. I mean, just for our own personal achievement and, setting goals and taking care of your body the way that you do, that speaks a lot about you and your work ethic. So
One thing
congrats on
there,
that.
one thing there with just working out, I always try to reiterate for me how much more it helps me mentally. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it's 9 miles, it could be 1 mile. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what it is, just the fact that you're out there trying to get better. I get in a funk if I'm not active several times each week. And I think a lot of people miss that opportunity, Justin, to feel the fulfillment of pushing your body.
No, dude, it's funny you say this because I've been preaching it for like ever as well. I always say it's more important to work out to feel good than to look good. I think it's important to release those endorphins, and make sure you're working out and you feel good about working out to the point where you enjoy working out, that it creates a habit, right? And then you start doing it consistently. And as a result, you'll start to look good. So I'm right there with you, and that's kind of what's carried me through my workouts as well, and consistently working out, and the other guys that help me with Klowd9, them as well. We talk about that all the time. Workouts to feel good, not to look good. And yeah, man, the mental aspect of working out is like so much more important. I'm the same way. I get into a funk if I don't go, a couple of days without working out. So you just got back from Tanzania
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. All right, well, let's tell me the story, man. Just let's just start from there. Hit me with how it all came to be, where it started, and I'll just let you go and do your thing.
All right. So back in 2016, Justin, I went on a study abroad trip to East Africa, and we studied economic development in rural Africa. So the focus of the class was on water and how really you got so many people doing good, right? You know it, Klowd9. Like there's so many people in this world doing good, and in Tanzania specifically, with it being a developing country, there's people focused on education and there's people focused on health. Then there's the people who say economic development is most important. So you got all these like conflicting perspectives. But what we really found as the focus of our class is water is the foundation
Right.
of everything. You can argue, you can debate whether education, healthcare, or economic opportunity comes next, but water is the foundation of life.
Right.
Without water, their families losing 17 hours a week. just
Right.
fetching water, whether it's clean or unclean. So like first you just got time. And then if it is unclean water, then you come into the health aspect. So there's all these things. And I'll tell you the story that really hit me originally, Justin, and that's we're visiting villages with water, without water, and just like learning about them, right? We came across this mother, and I can picture it right now, vividly. We came across this mother who's bending down to fill her bucket. Like imagine just a 5-gallon bucket, right?
Mm-hmm.
A 5-gallon bucket with a puddle of water. And this puddle of water is, I mean, you and I would think it's like a baseball field.
Right.
And there's just a puddle on second base. And there are cows and goats walking through this puddle.
Oh my gosh.
And we walk up to her, and the translator says, "Hey, what are you doing with this water?" And they knew, but they were like letting us learn it firsthand. And she said in Swahili, taking this water back to my family to cook, to bathe, and to clean. And oh, Justin, it's like seeing that, it was a gut punch, man.
Right.
And then 30 minutes later, we go to another village, and these two little boys don't have a clue in the world that there are a bunch of foreigners in their village. They're just running with their jugs, with their buckets, and they just run up to the water spigot. They fill their jugs with clean water, and they just walk off. And I'm just like, holy cow. The difference between these two villages is 1,000 times, right? And these kids, they have to go walk a distance to get the water, but it's clean.
Right.
They're not taking water out of a puddle, and it just shows that there is hope in the future of the country. There's so much hope. Like Tanzania is already doing so much agriculturally with tourism, but how much further can they go once all of their people in the country, because you're out in California, to give you a frame of reference, Tanzania is in East Africa. It's about twice the size geographically of California.
Oh wow.
And there's
that big.
yeah, and just under 60 million people. And so
Wow.
there's like a million people, closer to 750,000 now, that don't have access to clean water. And so that's the mission, that's the passion. We want to bring clean water to villages who don't have it today.
Okay, so you came back and you recognize there's a need. You saw a problem and said, this is something that I'm gonna take initiative on and figure out a solution for it, right?
Uh-huh.
Tell me the process.
Okay, I did that exactly. And then I did nothing.
This is great. I actually love this, because it's like, this is the story of how many times you try to do something, it just doesn't take off, and it takes more to get it done, right? So right. Go ahead. What happened?
And it's so real too, right? Like we see a need, we want to help, but then we get back into our own lives and we don't do anything about it.
Right.
It happens. We're not perfect people. We have good intentions, but that doesn't mean we execute them. Right. So for 2 years, I did nothing. And it's always in the back of my mind, you know, like you're like, oh, I should do something with that. But didn't. And then Ellie, my girlfriend, my best friend, we were doing long distance, Iowa to Nebraska. It seemed really far. And then she quit her job and moved to Thailand.
Okay. I didn't know
that.
Then
long distance got a lot further.
Yeah.
And she did that because she wanted to, she felt stuck. And she went and volunteered at an orphanage in Thailand, and then traveled for a couple months. And so I'm sitting here in Iowa thinking, wow, twiddling my thumbs. What am I gonna do? What am I doing all of this time?
Maybe you get Ellie on an interview next, you know.
I tell her, and I tell people all the time, like Ellie is the reason it started when it did. I have no doubt that I would have started clean water fundraisers at some point, But to be honest, man, it was always something. I've always looked at philanthropy as like someone who has a lot of money gives a lot of money.
Mhm.
And so I kind of always thought, even though it was in the back of my mind, I'll probably do that when I'm like 50, right?
Gotcha.
When I have more money.
Right.
And so when Ellie left, when she went to Thailand, I thought, you know what? I have more time. Like, what can I do with my time? And I'll just be honest. I was going to do two things. I was going to do a water fundraiser or make Cornellopoly. That was the other options.
Monopoly.
A monopoly for the college that we went to.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I can picture it. And there's only, I did a demo, like I did all this stuff to do it. And I created an Excel spreadsheet with all these different price points. And I'm like, okay, I'm really confident I can make $8,000 because there's 12,000 alumni. So I was going to create this Monopoly game and target it to the alumni of Cornell. And I was really
Okay.
excited to make $8,000.
You got Cornell Monopoly going on. So that was the fork in the road, is like, okay, water in Tanzania or Cornell Monopoly board game, right?
And so I called my old professor, my professor of economics at Cornell. And she said, Justin, which one do you think will have a bigger impact on your life and the life of others? Fine. I won't make $8,000. I'll try to do the water
Crush that dream.
and I like to share that story because that professor taught me in our class that anyone can do anything with the right capacity and resources. Say it again. Anyone can do anything with the capacity and resources. And what I'm really excited to do is share with you some stories from the trip to Tanzania that really live that out, because I think that that saying is so true, especially when it comes to trying to make an impact in other people's lives. So, but there's so many good fundraisers, there's so many good causes out there. How am I going to catch someone's attention? Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know what? Like, I'm in really good shape right now. What if I just did a bunch of pull-ups? And so I thought, okay, it's got to be a crazy enough number that people don't think I can do it. So I started talking to people and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to do 100 pull-ups for a fundraiser. And they're like, you do 100 pull-ups tomorrow. Like, that's not special. And so I was like, okay, well.
For a lot of people, it'd take a few days to get 100 pull-ups in.
Right. Maybe I shouldn't have asked an ex-college athlete. That was a mistake. And so I said, what if I did 1,000? I said, I'd donate if you did $1,000 in a day. And I was like, I didn't even tell you what to yet. And he's like, I don't care. That's crazy. If you're passionate enough to do 1,000 pull-ups and put your body through that, then you must really care about it.
Right.
And so that's what happened back in, 2018.
2018. 1,000 pull-ups
in a day.
What was the cause that you said, any money I make from this, it's going to go towards what?
It's going to go toward a clean water fundraiser, and it's in Tanzania. Mm-hmm. I didn't know the exact village that it would go to yet, but that class we went to in 2016, another Cornell alumni is actually the founder of Tanzania Water Fund.
Okay.
And so I called the founder. I said, hey, Dean, I would love to do a fundraiser within your organization. And he's a one-person shop. So he's like, yeah, great.
Sure. What is he gonna say? Nah, I'm good.
So he's done about 30, just to get it on record. He's done about 30 of these solar powered, solar pump, sustainable deep water. We're going 100, 150 meters down into the earth, these water projects.
Awesome.
And just a quick note there, because I know a lot of people are passionate about water, and a lot of people ask me like, hey, what if you just did a hand pump? Well, if you think about like the Earth's surface, sometimes there's water just 5-10 meters down, and there's like a plentiful source. Mm-hmm. But here in rural Tanzania, where we're focused on these projects, we have to go 100 meters up to 150 meters down into the earth.
Wow. And it's all solar powered, solar sustainable, you said.
Yeah, solar pump, solar panels. It's really self-sustaining because everyone just pitches in like half a penny each time they fill up a bucket. So then if a part breaks, They've got a bank account for each village. There's a whole water council. Yeah, it's a great setup.
That's awesome. When did he start that? Do you know? Did he start in 2016 when he went with you to like, or it was before then?
Before then, at least I want to say 2 or 3 decades he's been
Oh,
doing
okay.
it.
So he's had this going on for a while.
Yeah, so the partnerships are already created, which makes it easier for me. The 501c3 nonprofit is already set up. Yeah, it was just an easy plug and play to be able to start the pull-ups for Tanzania fundraiser.
Okay. So you met him, you said, hey, I want to donate. I want to start this.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did it go from there?
So the 1,000 pull-ups is the first year, and it took off. People were either like, "You're nuts, here's money," or "Love that you're doing clean water fundraisers, here's money," and like, "Here's why I'm passionate about clean water." So it was a way to connect with so many people. And what I realized, man, is there are a lot of people who want to give,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just feel like they won't directly be a part of something. I think of Red Cross a lot. You know, like there's a big natural disaster and Red Cross is like, text $10 to make a difference. And like half the time I'll do that. But if I knew someone in Red Cross that was like directly a part of making it happen, I'd probably be more likely to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's really what was helpful, the word of mouth. And like you hear about it from Alex and my cousin, and then you tell a couple of your people about it, and then all of a sudden, boom, I have this guy named Justin Fury that's a mutual friend with this guy that I've never heard of before. So it's just fun, like tracking the chain of connections.
I remember you even telling me you ran into some random person one time, and he's like, yeah, man, I've been doing this like pull-ups for this water fund in Africa. Right? Like never met him before, and just like so happened. Is that really happened, right?
That really happened. Yeah. I was sitting in a wedding.
He had no idea who started it or where it came from.
Right. It was a girl, and she said,
Okay.
yeah, somehow we started talking about water, and I was like, oh my gosh, I do a fundraiser each year. And she's like, what kind of fundraiser? I'm like, oh, we do pull-ups. And she's like, did you do this in November last year? And I was like, yeah, I sure did. So I've never met this girl. She's sitting across the table, and it's like a friend of a friend at someone's wedding that we both knew.
That's nuts. And so yeah, it just kind of goes to show how much it spread, how quickly it spread. The first 1,000 that you did, how was it? Was it like, this is easier than I expected, or was it like gruesome and you're like, man, this is rough?
I feel like we came in with a good game plan. All right. Okay. So yeah. I said 24-hour period. And at midnight, I did the first set, and it was 300 pull-ups was the first set at midnight.
Jeez, okay.
Midnight madness.
Yeah, you're telling me.
So how do you get to 300 pull-ups in an hour? And I would, during training, like trying things out, just experimenting. I do 5 pull-ups at a time. I do 10 pull-ups at a time. I do till failure at a time. And what I realized was the least amount of pull-ups I could do consistently, the less tired my muscles got. And so the game plan was doing 5 pull-ups per minute on the minute for an hour straight.
Nice. I like it.
So like around minute 40,
it kicks in. And those minutes start coming around a lot quicker, don't they?
So no way. My clock must be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did 300 at midnight, and then did the same thing when I woke up and had a breakfast. So it was like 8 o'clock, and then actually went to a playground and had some fun. It was snowing out. We were in Iowa at the time. And so I had friends live videoing, and then someone said, hey, I'll pay you. I'll donate $5 right now if you throw a snowball at him.
If somebody threw a snowball at you while you're doing the pull-ups?
Yes. Then I became basically a dilly dunker.
Oh,
while
no.
doing pull-ups, people were like, hey, take your shirt off and throw a snowball, and I'll throw in $50 right now.
Oh my gosh.
I said, well, all right.
So you're getting pounded with snowballs. and hey, every time a snowball hits you, cha-ching, cha-ching. You know?
Yeah, you'll love it, because I'm hanging on a soccer pole. I'm hanging on the goalpost of the soccer goal.
That's what you just
getting drilled in the stomach.
That's not even like very practical to like grip onto because a soccer post
No.
is like pretty, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so that was 150 there. And then the last set was 250 at the end of the day. And man, I had four of my guys with me doing pull-ups. They'd rotate and do like 5 with me, and they'd just each take turns doing some with me. And that
Cool.
was so huge because the hands were just ripped up, bleeding. Oh man, it hurt.
So you finish. Do you remember the feeling? What did you feel when that first 1,000 is done and said like we did it? How was that feeling? What were you thinking?
I think I got a video of it, but what I remember is just like wanting to cry, but I didn't have the energy. And I just remember giving my buddy Charlie like the biggest hug. And it's just like that exhausted fulfillment,
Awesome.
whether you're doing a race, playing a game, um, performing at a concert when you just gave it your all. Just I would say exhausted fulfillment.
But you knew, yeah, and you know, like it's like this is gonna, you didn't know, I should say, how much it would take off and how big it would get at that time.
One and done. That was
Right.
my thought. And by the way, I'd never done more than 300 pull-ups in a day.
Okay, so it was like, yeah, another personal record right there, and you just smashed that one, right?
Times 3.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I didn't want to get hurt, and I'm like, man, I could easily get hurt if I try to do 500. So if I get hurt, it's going to happen on the day. And so I
Gotcha.
never did more than 300, but I would do like 100 a day. I think for a couple months ahead of time.
Do you remember how much money after day one you raised?
I think like $3,000, and my goal is
Awesome.
25.
Okay, well, you got
So
3 out of the way.
you're right. So it was amazing at that
Right.
point in time. $3,000 was, I mean, I'd never done this. The only other bake sale I'd done was like making peanut butter no bake cookies for sports teams in high school.
Right. So $3,000 like out of thin air, in
Yeah,
1 day, in that 1 day's worth of work. How much
yeah.
time did you say like you wanted to raise the 25?
Learning curve. I had no deadline.
Okay. Just whenever we hit 25.
Yes.
Cool.
So, man, that was year one. That feels like so long ago. I was raising that $25,000 until March of the next year.
Okay. And that was in November when you started?
That's right.
Okay. So you hit the 25K in March of the following year.
Yeah.
So about 5 months.
Yeah.
All right, wow, man. 5 months time to hit 25K.
Yeah. And I thought originally that I'd be able to, like, I don't know. I'm naively optimistic. I'm like, yeah, I think I can do this like in a couple of weeks. Not true.
Yeah, maybe if you do 1,000 push-ups a day for a couple weeks.
Oh man. So that, yeah, it went until March. And then throughout that process, man, a lot of people were like, hey, I'd love to get involved.
Yeah.
Like, cool, what do you want to do? Because I don't even know what I'm doing. And so other people were like, I'd love to do pull-ups. Okay. So I started thinking about it and brainstorming. And yeah, let me just be vulnerable here for a minute and share with you what was going through my head in September, the second year. I've got all these people who are like, I want to do pull-ups, and so I think, okay, like, what if we did 25,000 pull-ups and raised another $25,000?
Nice.
Like, that'd be another village that we can bring water to.
Right.
And
let me pause you right there.
yeah,
You finished in March. At what point did you see the fruits of your labor? Did you like send the money right away, or it just went straight to Dean at TWF, or
really good question, because I was in a rock and a hard spot. We raised the money in March, and like in April, Coca-Cola in Ohio State announced a $1 million matching endowment to do water projects in Tanzania.
Wow.
Believe it or not, it's amazing. But
Yeah.
for us, they took precedent on us, above us on the priority list. So we got knocked down all the way down to here.
That is so ironic.
I know. And I was like, well, I can't even be mad because it's Ohio State. I'm an Ohio guy. You're an Ohio guy. It's like,
Right.
I love anyone doing good things. And so we get around to September, and I have nothing to give the donors. I got, like, what do I say? How can I ask for more money if I haven't done anything with the last donation?
So it's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there. Right.
Okay.
It's just sitting there. But I also wasn't too concerned about that, because
Right.
my thought was, if we have hundreds of people doing pull-ups, there should be hundreds of people telling this story. And so I think we could actually raise this $25,000. But man, if I didn't have all these doubts coming in my head, and I didn't want to, well, I'll just tell you, I ended up calling my grandpa, Grandpa Morris, and I called Grandpa. Grandpa's always been a huge influence in my life. And I said, Grandpa, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should do this fundraiser again, or if I should just take a year off, or just be content that we did one and call it a day. And he listened, and he said, Justin, I'm teaching this Sunday school lesson right now. It's on open doors. Grandpa, just tell me what to do. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, Grandpa, just tell me. Like, I don't need this whole story, right? But Grandpa's great at just giving the story. And he said, we're doing this lesson on open doors. And if you stop and look at the door in front of you right now, it can look open, it can look closed, or maybe it's just cracked. Whatever it is whatever you're, like, accepting it to be. Right?
Right.
Don't think about it as physically open or physically shut. Like, let's just look at this and think about it. And you're the one deciding whether that door is open or if you want to shut the door.
Right.
And so I was thinking about it. My grandpa, I don't understand what this means. And he said, Justin, what were you afraid of last year? I said, nothing. I wasn't afraid of anything. I was just excited to raise money for clean water.
Right.
He said, what are you afraid of this year? I said, what if I don't raise $25,000 this year? And he's like, think about what you just said. Last year, you were doing it with the purpose of others. And this year, you're worried about you failing. You just shifted the focus from the real purpose to yourself.
Right. Grandpa's, man.
That was good, Grandpa.
Grandpa's,
that was good.
dude.
So we opened that door back up and we ran with it, baby. We ran.
So that brings us right back to speed. So now we're in September.
Yeah.
Okay. September, year
September, 2. I started calling my buddy and said, hey, we're going to do this. I don't know if we're going to make it or not, but you know what? We're going to bring awareness to clean water. And that's literally the most important thing that we can do. Right. And it was so cool. It was hard for me to give up a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you. The spotlight wasn't on me. The spotlight was on everyone else. It took a little bit to be like, let go.
Yeah.
But it was the most important thing that happened.
Yeah.
Because now we have hundreds of people telling the story, and now we have hundreds of people who feel directly involved with the water project.
Yeah.
Now they got skin in the game too.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you hit the goal? You kicked it off in November again. I know September is kind of, so November was when you kicked it off. And then,
well, no, just talking to people. So it's always the Saturday weekend before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And so we basically start in November. But people doing pull-ups start just shooting them notes before, so they start thinking about it. And so we raised the money by January this time.
Okay, nice. So two months time.
Huge, right?
Yeah.
Shaved 2 months off the deadline. And what I did was I said, hey, we're done raising money at the end of the year. So just like you asked, I got a little bit, learned a little bit.
What you said that you tried to set a deadline?
Tried to set a deadline for end of year.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you hit it.
Really close. Just a few days off.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. That's nuts. So yeah, you're at 50K.
Yeah, so that's 2 villages. That's the tangible. And so now, just a couple of months after that fundraiser, we had the first project completely constructed, and that's the village of Kinyeto. So before we keep going on the journey, I'll share with you a story about the village of Kinyeto, because cool. They've now had water for 2 years, and we just visited 3 weeks ago. So we went and visited. It was a celebration. You know, the mamas especially are so excited because they're the ones that are usually walking so far to go find natural boreholes.
Oh yeah.
And they're singing, they're dancing, we're having a great time. And then we asked the village leaders, we're like, hey, how's it going? What are you doing with the water project? And we had a heads up of this, but it was so cool to see in person. They said, well, we used the money that we're making with people paying for water, and we bought extra piping, and we took a distribution point from the main hub into the medical clinic. So for the first time, we have running water in the medical clinic.
Oh my gosh. And they did it on their own?
Completely on their own.
Awesome. So right? Cool.
And it goes back, now let me bring back Professor Hedgebu's sentence that she ingrained in our heads. Anyone can do anything with the capacity and with the resources.
Right, right.
So cool to see that initiative. So what happens? What happens when you get water in your medical clinic? Like, obviously there's sanitation, better health, better hygiene, but you get more funds from the government. So they were getting X, and then they got Y because they were more sanitary. They were all of that. So they did 2 things with the money. One, they bought a motorbike.
Okay.
And they bought a motorbike so the doctor could go do outreach to people who were miles away and couldn't walk in.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah. And the second thing, because it's crazy to say it's nice. Like it seems like a nice medical clinic because there's running water. And this is it's the poorest region of Tanzania. So just having running water in the hospital clinic is a big deal for the mamas. Mm-hmm. And so there are 90 kids being born in this medical clinic every month.
Wow. Okay, nice.
Every month. So we're looking at 3 a day.
This is like a baby boom generation coming for Tanzania.
Yeah, the village leader says it, and all the men are like, yeah. The women are just like shaking their heads, smiling.
Yeah.
So they're building a maternity ward.
Oh, cool.
And they think about like making concrete. If you have water, it's easier to make concrete blocks.
Right.
So they're using those extra funds to build a maternity ward for the clinic. And by the way, they call it a dispensary. And I had to explain to them that dispensaries are much different here in Colorado.
Yeah. We are building a dispensary with the money. Like, oh.
Okay. Yeah, so seeing the initiative being taken, wow, that's the super cool part. And one note on the money that I think is important, because there's a stigma with Africa and a lot of corruption, and it's totally fair because there's a whole lot of corruption. And that's why partnerships are so important, like working with other NGOs and staying as far away from the government as we can. The government's doing a lot of great things and making a lot of the right steps. But if we're able to keep it with NGO partners, non-governmental organizations, it's just, there's less, I don't know, loopholes to go through. There's less red tape. Yeah, that's a better word. So with the money, the thing I wanted to share with that bank account, money can be deposited from the village into their water bank account, but they can't withdraw money unless it's approved by the Rural Water Sanitation Association. Cool. And so it's just an extra layer of protection, right? Which is just really cool to see.
Right. Awesome. All right, man. So you're it's about to start year 2. You got one village. You're seeing the fruits of the labor. You're seeing, lives being changed by this. You're seeing babies popping out. Year 2 is coming up, and you finished it in 2 months' time. Let's pick up from there after you hit the goal on year 2.
Yeah. So much more exciting, much more involvement, because we actually had stories to share of the water construction from the first year. We keep going through the year, and construction actually starts for the second well before November, which is clutch, because I can give another update right before the fundraiser and say, hey, it's under construction right now. Let's start raising money for the next water projects. Oh, by the way, we're just going to double it and go for 50.
Awesome. So year 3, 50,000 pull-ups for 50K. How did that work out?
Overall, it was great.
Cool.
Tried to create a platform to like just distribute information to make it easier for people, and just like trusted them to run with it. So what I'll tell you is it was so cool to see people do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
You give someone a platform and tell them to run with it, and you have no idea what's going to happen. And so there was an ambassador, Mickey Hines in Iowa, and he's like, I'm going to try to do 1,000 pull-ups like you did.
Oh, nice.
Like, have at it.
Yeah.
Do it, man.
Take a big chunk out.
Yeah. And he inspired so many people by doing that. And that was so cool. And this year he's actually going for 1250. So I'm excited to see him beat my number, and I'm not going to try to compete with him.
Like, yeah, that's good. You do it.
Yeah, and then you got creative people like you, like people who have these ideas, and they think about things differently than me, and they're creating these videos about water and like, playing around with the hose, and then turning the hose off and changing the music from like really upbeat and exciting to like dismal, and be like, wow, like that would suck to not have running water. The creativity, man.
Wow, that is pretty. Thinking outside the box there to really get the point across.
Yeah, so we did it, and we raised the money
by your deadline.
By mid-December.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. So we raised twice as much, twice as fast as the first time we did it.
So at this point, you basically have hit 100K total, because you had 25 the first year, 25 the second, and then hit 50K by mid-December of the year 3.
Yeah, you got it.
Awesome. Wow, man. And that's 4 villages right there.
That's 4 villages right there. So let's pause there, because I want to give another cool story of a village taking initiative in Lamba. They're starting to focus on irrigation. So there's like a community area where there's a few acres of land, and they're like doing a demonstration. We know that irrigation is a part of farming.
Right.
If you don't have unlimited water supply, you don't know that.
Right.
And so our partner, World Serve International, does the community development aspect after. So really it's a 16-month process after construction of teachers going into the schools. Wash your hands. This is super important. It's going to keep you safe. Going in and talking with the families, and saying how important irrigation is, and people don't believe it right away because it's never been a part of their life. And so doing a demonstration in like the town square, call it, the irrigation project has been underway for like 6 months, and now people can see the higher crop yield. And so now people are excited to do their own irrigation. So that's just another example of the development that can happen once we get water there.
And it goes back to what you said in the beginning about how just foundational water is, clean water. It's something we take for granted so much, because we've always just had so much access to it. And then when you actually look at, the value it has and how much it influences so many different areas, it's nuts. So that brings us to this year, right?
That brings us to this year.
Year 4.
We are in November.
We are in November. So
it is pull-up season.
It is pull-up season. I got to start doing some more pull-ups.
Me
I don't have a
too.
pull-up bar, I'm doing pull-ups like on the bottom of the steps as you saw like last year,
Okay, let's
so
talk about that for a second. Because that's so important, and that's been also so fulfilling. You don't have to have a gym membership to do pull-ups.
right.
And you showed us that firsthand. Justin walks up to a staircase, and it's the stairs that have an opening in between them, like there's air flowing in between because they're outdoor.
This big.
And he just grabbed the back of the step and just started revving out pull-ups. And you see that, and it's just so exciting to see people finding a way. I love the saying, find a way.
Dude, it was so funny because like I got your notification. I was like, it's pull-up season. I know Tanzania is coming up. And I was like, I don't have a pull-up bar. I could go get a pull-up bar, I guess. But I was like, well, I don't know. I'm about to go on my run. I'm sure I'll see a tree that has a branch that I can, and I run like around my block on a busy street. So I was like, people are going to be looking at this weird kid doing pull-ups on a tree. But the funny thing is, in the concrete jungle of Los Angeles that we live in, I couldn't find a tree. I was even like going like in between routes I didn't take. I'm like, dude, there's no good trees here to like really support me and doing pull-ups. So I got back to my apartment and I'm like walking and I look at the steps and I was like, there's got to be the steps. Like, we got to get it done somehow, So
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, man.
And it doesn't matter if it's like you did the steps. I got buddies who are in their barn and they're doing pull-ups on the 2x4s. Seeing people do pull-ups, monkey bars in a
monkey
playground.
bars, yeah.
Like you can figure out a way to do pull-ups.
Yeah, that would probably be a good idea. I probably should have tried to find a park nearby. In hindsight, in retrospect, like I guess I could have done that. Maybe this year we'll look for a park.
This is good. We're making headway here.
But I was inspired. Your hashtag was like find a way, and I was like, I'm like I gotta find a way.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us up. We're in November.
Oh, real quick, give a shout out to my one of my best friends, Alexa Miller. Find a way. She made this artwork, and she also did the artwork for Tanzania Water Fund.
The shirts,
so, yeah, you can get shirts, mugs, everything, and whatever you buy, it's 40% goes back to our project. So
cool.
TanzaniaWaterFund.net for all of you.
.net. There we go. TanzaniaWaterFund.net. Shirts, mugs. We're trying to hit 3 villages this year. Bring the total to 7 villages after this year that you're gonna have clean water to, right? Yeah. Come a long way from the first 1,000 pull-ups that you did, right? With the door that looked pretty closed at the time, as Grandpa Morris was talking about, right? Yeah. But now we're at 75K.
We got 3 days, just trying to create some more accessibility for teams. A lot of sports teams will be involved. So if anyone watching this is a coach and wants to get their team involved or knows a team or a club who wants to join, it's a really good way to help build the culture of a program, is what a lot of other coaches have said.
Yeah, no, I bet, man. And it's cool. It's just cool. People like being a part of something bigger than themselves, and when you get a group of people that are about it and for it, and it kind of just like the rest of the crowd kind of comes in and contributes there. So not the November 19th to the 21st is like that's when the big kickoff is, right?
Yeah.
And then you'll be bringing awareness throughout the rest of the year, right? Trying to hit it before January 1st again.
Yeah, so you can actually, the donate link is live. You can go to TanzaniaWaterFund.net and then link out to Facebook donate. We have a Venmo set up that goes directly to the Tanzania Water Fund bank account, or just cash and check, which is probably not relevant to anyone watching this, but it is for Grandpa Morris.
He's gonna see this, man. Cash check, Venmo, Facebook, bam, and it's live. The link is live.
It's live. Yeah.
Link.
The cool thing about this is people can do pull-ups and not donate a penny, but just taking a video of themselves saying, hey, I'm doing pull-ups for Tanzania. Mm-hmm. Go to TanzaniaWaterFund.net. That inherently draws attention and awareness, and someone's going to see that, and someone's going to donate because you did pull-ups. Mm-hmm. And so it's so cool to see people be able to make an impact without having to be donating money, or maybe they just donated $6. And that $6 is not just $6. That's literally bringing clean water to one person for generations.
Right. And honestly, man, it's such a brilliant idea, really, because one, pull-ups are challenging, like it's not easy. So it is a challenge. And so it kind of like it puts into perspective, like, yeah, and think about how much more of a challenge it is to not be able to have access to clean water, right? So it's just enough to really put that kind of pain into your system for perspective on that. And then also is like people take pride in their pull-ups. People take pride in working out, and then there's a huge fitness culture that's sweeping through the country, and especially out here in California, in LA, they're huge on it. And so like if you can really take that and channel it and focus it towards good use and good cause, man, like you've done. And it's cool, man. Like it really is a brilliant idea that really kind of like, in a world of viral videos, in a world of like I remember the ice bucket challenge for ALS and stuff like this. It's something simple, man. Like you just go take a video you doing pull-ups and it changes lives, like even 5 pull-ups, it all adds up, it all contributes, so and you get more and more people doing it.
You nailed it. It doesn't matter how many. You don't have to do 100 pull-ups. You don't have to do 1,000 pull-ups. You can do 5 pull-ups. You can do 3 pull-ups. I had people last year that did 1 pull-up. They said, I tried. And other people who tried and failed. And they said, hey, I tried to do 1 on my own, but I did 10 with a band. Or I did 15 on my own throughout the day, but I did 35 more with my partner grabbing my legs and helping me up.
Yeah, so helping you up.
Yeah.
It all works, man. And it all adds up, It's also just a good indicator of like, as we come to the start of the year and people set new fitness goals and wanting to get in shape as well, it's a good indicator of where you're at, like for your own personal fitness, your own physical wellness, of like, all right, well, how many pull-ups can I really do? And like, well, I'm gonna make a goal by the end of the year. New Year's resolution is I can do 10 right now. I'm gonna do 20 by the end of the year. I'm gonna do 30, and set goals from there as well. So the timing works out really well too. Yeah, man, it is an awesome story. And I hope that this really gives a lot of people hope and inspires them, is that you had no idea what you were doing or where to start when you started. A lot of the content I share on Klowd9 and stuff I post it says similar things, as people who have gone on to do amazing, great things. They didn't know where to start or what to do. They just started doing something, You just start somewhere with what you got. And if you put the passion into it and the work into it, and you set your goals like you did, and you find a way, then amazing things can be done, and you can impact thousands of lives and really leave a pretty incredible mark on the world,
Yeah.
So
well, thanks for those kind words. And you're so right. Like, you don't have to know, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're swimming in the right direction, I think things come together.
Yeah. All right. So we got TanzaniaWaterFund.net. You could follow Justin on Instagram at jfooty2012. If you have any questions, reach out to him directly. He'll respond. He'll help you to plug in if you want to get involved. Is there anything else you wanted to share? Any other things that people should know about as we kind of head into this season of bringing clean water to another couple of villages in Tanzania?
Final thoughts. You can make an impact, right? You can, as a listener, you can make an impact within Tanzania Water Fund. And also, when you figure out what you're really passionate about, like it's clean water for me, when you figure out what that is, just go for it. You can make a difference. And so just reiterating the goal to find a way and make it happen.
I love it, man. Find a way, make it happen.
Yeah.
75,000 pull-ups. We're hitting $75,000, 3
That's
villages in Tanzania.
That's great.
It's nuts when you really say it out loud, right? When you're like three different villages, well, almost 15,000 people.
Yeah.
That you're directly having an awesome, amazing, powerful impact on their lives and their everyday living. Awesome cause, awesome person. Justin. Thank you, man, for your contribution to all this, for, you know, initially getting through that 1,000 pull-ups. Appreciate you. Thank you for the time for doing this interview. And yeah, man, let's blow this thing up. Let's blast it out and really get these pull-ups and this money in, and
Yeah.
really change some lives. So
Yeah, let's do it. And thank you, Justin, for this platform that you put together.
yeah,
It's just getting the positive vibes, highlighting people who are trying to make an impact. It's a really cool thing that you're doing.
appreciate it, man. Yeah, man, and we'll keep it going. You know, we'll just keep riding that train. So
Let's do
all
it.
right, bro. We'll catch up soon.
Sounds good. This was fun.